Welcome back to yet another unboxing. This one I'm personally excited for because I happen to play Tau. Today we've got the Kroot Hunting Pack. So, I'm sure you probably know, if you're watching this video, the Kroot are an auxiliary unit of the Tau Empire. The Tau have many auxiliaries, but GW seems to favor the Kroot. Most people don't mind. They're not my favorite auxiliary, but they're pretty cool. Anyway, let's get into it. This box retails for $220 and includes 26 new Kroot miniatures. At the top of the box here, we've got the Krootox Rider. He's the solo Krootox Rider in this box. We will take a closer look at these sprues in a minute here. Looks like up next, we've got the Kroot Warshaper, a cool leader unit. And he features a couple different builds. Next up, we've got the Kroot Flesh Shaper, another character unit in this box. And up next, we've got some Kroot Carnivores. Box comes with 20. These are going to be your rank and file Kroot for your possibly Kroot only army. And like with many of their boxes, when they handle this much rank and file, you get 2 of the same sets of sprues. Each builds 10, making a total of 20. And then lastly, we've got our Krootox Rampagers. So like the rider we saw earlier, this is a squad of 3, and they're more melee focused. And the classic piece of paper to protect your book from all the stabby sprues. Looks like my box got a little crunched in shipping, and it's also upside down, interestingly. Trying to even it out a little bit, whatever. Anyway, so this is interesting. There is a box inside of a box. So I assume that this is going to be all of our data cards and our book. And just a quick check under the flaps. We've got our bases, and that's all. Alright, now let's take a look at this box in a box. Facing some pretty classic Tau imagery. And wrapped with a blue bungee. Alright. I don't remember the Dark Angels box didn't have this. I wonder if they're going to be doing this with future army boxes. Alright. So this is our data cards. I'm a bit interested in the box here, because these are either some really wide cards or they're side by side. But look at that cool blue metallic edging. Yep. Data cards. Cool back there. But yeah, they're side by side, which makes me wonder how, when they don't have these bands on them, how well they repack. But I guess we'll find out. Another good look at that metallic blue edging. I like it. I like it. And we've got our instructions here. Pretty run-of-the-mill. Tons and tons of tiny little spindly bits. Can't wait to put all these guys together. Anyway, let's get to the more exciting book. I'm actually super excited for this one. It's got that blue metallic icon on it with some little blue metallic designs on it. No gilded pages, though. I don't think they get that fancy with their codexes. I'm probably one of the very few people who actually gets excited for printed codexes. And it turns out I was right about the cards. They're still in their bands, and I feel like I'm on one of those infomercials where they're like spilling stuff everywhere or dropping stuff uselessly, and they're still in the band. They don't fit very well side by side. I am going to find another box for these at some point, and I probably recommend that you do as well. But it's back in the box for now. Good enough. Moving on. Alright, now we're going to take a closer look at the sprues here. First up, we've got the Kroot Carnivores. 20 of them to be exact. 4 sprues if you count the big ones being split in half. When they get their full release, I assume it's going to be the 2 sprues in one box. So, not a ton of customization options or weapon options in these guys. You basically get your Kroot version of a sergeant, which is called a long quill, and he can be equipped with the Kroot rifle carbine. And for every 10 carnivores you have in your squad, one can be equipped with a launcher. There is the aforementioned Kroot carbine. As you can see down there, it's the pink option. And looks like he gets a little doggo. Here is the Kroot launcher. And there is the doggo. Yeah, so 10 guys. Not a lot of customization, not a lot of posability, but that seems to be the route that Games Workshop is going. And next up, we've got the Krootox Rider and the Krootox Rampagers. Krootox Rider is 2 small sprues, again if you break them apart, and the Riders are 2 big sprues. They don't have much in the way of weapon options either. One of them, you can switch a pistol out for a knife, but I believe they still have the same data sheet, just it's a cosmetic thing. And here is the Rider. When I first saw this, I originally thought this was like a leader unit for your Krootox Rampagers, but he's more kind of like a broadside versus your crisis suits. He comes by himself, but he can be put into squads up to 3. And he does get weapon options in the form of a repeater cannon or a tangle cannon. Then next we have our Kroot Flesh Shaper here. He's dual-wielding very sharp objects with a Kroot gun of some sort on his back. He can lead your Kroot Carnivores and Kroot Farstalkers. But he does not have any alternate build options or customization options, but the model's pretty cool, so he doesn't really need them. And lastly, we've got the Kroot Warshaper. This guy does have some weapon options. He can choose between a dart bow and tri-blade, with a pistol as well, and also a blade staff and prey hook. Both of these options look awesome, and it will be hard to choose, but I think I'm going to go with the bow. Off to the left, you'll see the blade staff right there, and the prey hook. If I had to gripe about this model, I'd say that the feet are built into the terrain, and I don't like that, because what if you want to do something different? But anyway, there's your bow and your tri-blade, and the pistol off to the side there. They actually have 2 pistol options, but it's the same data sheet. Just goes on a different part of the Kroot depending on what loadout you choose. Anyway, so that's what comes in the box. You got your Kroot getting their time in the spotlight. If I had my way, I would have done the box differently. It wouldn't have been Kroot 100%. There would be Kroot in it. But I would have done an auxiliary mashup. More Vespids, because they really need an update. But these guys were also mostly resin and metal, so Kroot needed it as well, but it does make me sad The other auxiliaries will have to wait even longer for their refresh, or just getting models in general. But anyway, that's it for the unboxing. Don't click away just yet, though, because I'm going to be painting one. When I got the box, I wasn't sure on what route I wanted to go with them. My Tau are desert themed, and I was jokingly mentioning it to my wife about, painting a carnivorous bird and what theme I would go for in the desert, to which she suggested a roadrunner. They are carnivorous birds, they dwell in the desert, and they look kind of cool. My whole theme to this is that I want to go more simple, because I have a habit of choosing really difficult color schemes, and then I don't end up finishing the project because it takes me forever. See my Seraphon, for instance. So it's going to be more like a light thematic of a roadrunner, and not the cartoon, like the actual bird. But anyway, I got this guy together, carefully cleaned out the parts, and he's ready for a coat of primer. I busted out the airbrush and primed him black, like I do with all of my models, going a little lighter on the primer than I usually do, just because I've learned that you don't actually need that much. Once I got him good and primed up, I gave him a kind of zenithal, because I'm also kind of spraying some oranges and browns into the shadowed areas to kind of get some warmer colors out of it. For this project, I'm using the Flameon signature series from Monument. It's got, I know it's for like non-metallic metals, but it kind of had all the colors I was looking for these. I'm definitely going to try the non-metallic metal part later on, but it suited me in the moment, and I wanted to give it a try. I just bought these from Adepticon, and I was really excited to use them. With some of my other birds and lizards that I've painted before, I kind of do a darker color on the back and in this case, a warmer color. And then I go back over it with in this case, bright pale yellow to brighten back up like the belly and like the inner arms and thighs and legs to give it that kind of natural animal color pattern. And just like that, we've kind of already got a natural color pattern going. Next up, I am using Mahogany from Monument Paints to kind of give it a little bit of a different tone than the oranges and the orange browns that came in the Flameon kit, but it is still a warm brown to kind of fit the theme. And then next, I hit all the spots that I'm either going to be painting black or metallic silver. I have a very lazy silver recipe that I just paint it black and then go over it with a silver dry brush. You'll see that here in a few minutes. But now I'm just taking that orange brown from the Flameon kit and going over the mahogany to give it some highlighting. I think I brought up the color on this one a little bit just to make it stand out a bit more, but I got some light highlights here. I probably could have went a little heavier on them, but again, I'm trying to keep this paint job a bit simple. And another secondary color that is in my Tau army is orange. The main three colors are tan, brown, and orange, so my Kroot is checking all of the boxes. The orange is from Duncan Rhodes, because I don't have a Monument orange yet. Anyway, to highlight the pale yellow, I took Monument's ivory color, and it was just the right step up to bring up the flesh tone, the lighter flesh tones. Just hit the top part of his head and his eyebrows, and then all of his little fingers and the raised parts of his palms, his little toes down there, anywhere you think the light would hit. And it looks like he's starting to come together. Lately, I've been staying away from washes, but this guy has so many details and cracks and crevices, I kind of feel like it's an injustice to not use some. As well as speed paints, honestly. These guys would take well to speed paints. And now we're highlighting the beak with a Monument dark neutral gray, I believe. Either medium or dark. Either way, bring it up from the black a little bit. I will be going a bit lighter later on. And this is where my Kroot is going to be mildly thematic to the Southwestern Roadrunner. they have blue head feathers, and I think tail feathers. They are kind of a muted, darker blue, so I wanted to keep to that and not go too bright with them, so I'm just kind of almost edge highlighting the black quills with blue. It's a lot more obvious in person. The camera's not doing it justice. But yeah, blue quills. I also wanted to do the little arrow feathers in blue, as if they were like plucking them off themselves and putting them on their arrows. That sounds like a very Kroot thing to do. And here is my lazy metal. I just dry brush relatively heavily over some black, and it kind of gives that grimy metal. Like, you don't want to do this with clean metal. You still want to paint over black, but the dry brush part, not so much. It kind of gives it that dirty appearance, in my opinion. On his plate armor here, I was way too afraid to dry brush over it because I didn't want to ruin some of my details. And this is the part that makes my Tau mine. Metallic blue accents. A long time ago when I first got into Tau, I saw the color and I knew I had to have it. I needed to incorporate it into my model in some way, and I did. On my Kroot, it came in the form of a blue shoulder pad and some blue bracelets and little armlets and stuff like that. And I think it works out pretty well. It's not the color for everyone, some like real metallics, but I thought it was really cool. Here is one of my old Fire Warriors. Mind my very old paint job. But you can see on like the little circular parts, they're all the metallic blue. They're a bit faded. These guys are pretty old, but yeah. And here it is on one of my Crisis suits. The little Tau logo on his shoulders and chest is metallic blue, which is why this special edition codex spoke to me so much. Now into basing. I also got the Adepticon exclusive terrain paint. I talked to one of the guys at the booth, and he explained that this is what they use through their airbrush to paint a bunch of terrain. So I figured, why not? So I started with a stipple of the red oxide color, followed by another stipple of the orange oxide color to kind of bring up the dark red into a lighter orange, and then ultimately covering it with a dry brush slash stipple of the drab brown color. Once again, trying to play with darker, warm shadows like I did earlier. And then just going over the entire base with the drab brown to kind of bring it all together. And then another thing I forgot I had was epic basing. This is their cactus set. These are little succulent guys. They've got aloe vera plants. They've got little cactuses. And also very large cactuses. So I just slapped on some speed paint on these guys to make them look nice and organic. And that's gonna bring it all together. I did slap some crackle paint on the base. I'm not trying to get a crackle out of it on this guy in particular, but that's just the current color that I want to still portray. I might go over the bases and change them all out, especially since I have the epic bases stuff now, but we'll see. So, just finishing it off with a black rim here and calling him done. If you made it this far, I super appreciate it, as well as any likes, comments, and subscribes. They help our channel, help us keep doing what we love doing, and that's talking about miniatures, and now painting them on the channel. Let me know down below what you think of the Kroot, what you think of the content. Let me know how you're enjoying it. But until then,